Welcome to Best Friends in Franchising. I'm Morgan Knoller.
And I'm Catherine Allen.
If you're interested in franchising a new opportunity or diversifying your portfolio, you've come to the right place. We talk money, mindset, and everything in between. Let's dive in. All right. Today we are going to talk about the top franchises for 2026. I feel like this is going to be a really big year for everybody, and I'm going to see a lot of businesses coming. What do you think, Catherine? What are our top categories we're going to talk about?
Yeah, well, first off, Happy New Year, everyone. Welcome back. We took a little break and hiatus. I don't know, break. We say break, right? With the holidays, but the holidays are crazy for those moms out there, dads, all the gifts and the parties and the things. Definitely feeling like last week I needed a little time to rejuvenate and, of course, coming right back into work. But here, excited to be here and excited to talk about what people are investing in 2026. Just looking at December, let's just take a look more at December, right? So FranServe, that's the network that we're a part of. FranServe Consultants made 42 placements across franchise brands. We made placements, the big ones. There was definitely a theme. I think this is going to roll into 2026. So home service brands emerging in niche markets, real estate, property management, home services, home care, senior home care. Those are just a few of the categories that we're going to talk about today. To kick us off, though, let's start with home services because that really was the dominant category across all of the 4 or 5 that came up. So let's dive into that one first. Take it away, Morg.
Yes. So home services, this isn't just what's trending on TikTok or what got featured in Entrepreneur Magazine. This is about where real buyers with real money are actually investing. For December, the home services absolutely dominated. We had all different types of home services being bought. Specifically, some of our favorite ones are Action Exteriors. You had handyman services. What other brands? We have puddle pool services, Monty's.
Yep, we had Everline coatings, so that's a really interesting one to me. It's the lines that are drawn on the cement.
On the pavement. Yeah, big one.
It may not sound that interesting, but it's like actually such a need, and the
Yeah.
numbers are solid, they're strong. So Everlane Coatings was on Painter Brothers. Yeah, you said Monty's, Jet Black. These are just Joshua Tree Experts. Those are just a few that went in December, right? Dryer Vent Superheroes.
Yeah. So let's talk about why. Why are these so attractive? Why are these specific home services selling so quickly? And there's a few big reasons, Catherine. Let's talk about those.
Yeah. So I think, home services, right? They're not sexy. It's not necessarily the type of person who's looking for that mission driven, purpose driven franchise. But what home services has that makes it so attractive as a franchisee and a franchise buyer is a few things. It has the reoccurring revenue, right? Backing up even more, it's like, what are the 4 things, right? We talk about this a lot that you want something that people are going to invest in and they're going to need and they're going to need a lot of. And home services is definitely one of those things. So the reoccurring revenue, anything on the home. So anything that needs servicing, pedal pools, if you have a pool, if you have a hot tub, like this is something that needs to reoccur and they need to come out and they need to maintain regular maintenance. What else, more?
These are essential services. It doesn't matter about how the economy is doing. It could be good. It could be bad. People still need air conditioning fixed. They still need their homes painted, their gutters cleaned. Maybe they're going and selling their home this year. That could be 3 or 4 different home services right there.
Right. It's recession resistant. This is something that people, like you said, they need it done, and they're scalable without heavy retail. So another thing that makes home services so attractive is you don't need a brick and mortar location for many of these. Some of these do require a warehouse, but the overhead is relatively non-existent, or it is not as much as a brick and mortar on Main and Main. So for those reasons, home care services are definitely the dominant category, I would say, going into 2026. Anything else to add on to that?
Yes, I think as far as home services, it could be anybody too. You don't have to be from necessarily a corporate background or a sales background. I think across the board, we're seeing people buy into the home services brands just because they want something stable, something reoccurring, something that they can, like you said, Catherine, scale big if they want. But you don't have to know these systems. You just need to be able to manage the teams, scale efficiently. And I think it's kind of a natural fit for lots of different types of candidates, not just one type of person. So I think that's also why it kind of dominates some of the franchise world.
And Morgan, for the type of person that might be interested in home services, like what should they know before they dive in? Is this someone like are they going to be doing the HVAC services? Are they going to be cleaning the pools? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Right. So that's a great question. So you have to be comfortable with operations and managing technicians or crews, but ideally you're not doing the work yourself. We don't want you to buy a franchise and go out and start painting buildings. We want you managing people that will be doing the work and doing all the technical stuff outside of the business. So if you have good organizational skills, systems thinking, you need to, hire well, train and well, all of that's very critical, but ideally you're running this operation. You are not in it day to day. You've hired the people to do all of those skills.
And I do think, from someone coming from a corporate background who's been in a managerial type of position or upper level management, this makes a lot of sense, right? They can come in if you're a systems thinker, like Morgan said, you're organized and you're good at building and managing teams. This is a really great place, a really great category to dig a little deeper on. Investment level for getting in is not that high. For these, typically it's anywhere, starting at probably like 150,000. And then kind of goes up from there, but relatively low investment, which makes it also very attractive.
Absolutely. Okay, so the second category is one close to Catherine's heart for sure because she came from this industry and still something that I really believe is a wonderful franchise to invest in and also surged in December at the end of the year, and that's senior care and home care.
Yep. So in December, there were placements with Amada Home Care, Hallmark Home Care, Home Watch Caregivers. Those were kind of three of the top contenders. As Morgan said, this is near and dear to my heart. I was in home care for 13 years in a marketing role and brand role and supported franchise owners across the country, across North America, Canada, even into Australia. So I think, with senior care, the demand is absolutely there. 10,000 people are turning, 65 plus a day. It's just growing with, the baby boomers and the silver tsunami, as they call it. I do think that home care is when you're thinking about the type of person that really thrives and succeeds in this area. It's definitely a more mission driven community impact kind of role. So I do think you need to be passionate, have that passion for seniors, for helping others. You're an empathetic person, high emotional intelligence, someone who really wants to immerse themselves in the community they're serving, that is someone who is going to really thrive and succeed in home care. The byproduct of that is you can do very well financially, but it is something where you really want to lead with that heart and that compassion, and have just truly a passion for
Yeah.
this
The
area.
mission driven and financially smart is the reason that a lot of people get into senior and home care. But you do have to be kind of attracted to that idea of helping families, caring for aged loved ones, or helping seniors age in place with dignity, things like that. But financially, this is one that you should not overlook if you even have any kind of like inkling to get more information in any kind of senior care. I highly recommend it. We've seen some franchisees scale very big in the last 5 years with senior care. So it's definitely not a set it and forget it model, but it is one that like if you are financially smart and you have that mission drive, you should look into senior care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, let's transition into our next category, which is property management and real estate services. So, which ones were the big contenders again, Mark, for December?
Yes. Especially coming from like an interior design background, and my husband and I have bought and owned and sold many, many, many properties throughout the years, moving all over the US and Canada. I would say this is one where I've always had my eye on property management and any kind of real estate service. So we have placements we saw with Blue Moon estate sales, flip cheap houses. Property Management Inc. is one of our top favorites. And I think we typically see a lot of real estate agents or brokers interested in this, but that's not to say you can't be interested in it too, because I've definitely looked at it and I don't come from a real estate background at all.
Right. And if you think about, brokers and real estate agents are, a big category of the people who are buying these up, it makes sense, right? Because real estate it's inconsistent. Like you can make really big commissions, but it's not always a steady flow. So I think that this is the perfect kind of add on or, to be doing alongside it, even to get more of that consistent revenue coming in, especially for something like property management, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, that property management is just that reoccurring revenue, like you're talking about, Catherine, where you don't need to really wait for you to get that real estate sell on one of the properties. You can help your clients out, but then also have this sort of on the side where the revenue's coming in and maybe you've hired a couple people to help you out. So it kind of is running itself and then you're managing those people. So for anyone looking on for a national add-on or something on the side and you're familiar with real estate, this is kind of an easy segue.
Yeah, and if you're a real estate agent, you understand your market, super well. You have such a natural advantage because you get the market, you have the in, right, on like the different deals coming up. So it makes sense and it kind of can feed each other, I would think, on both ends. So what about but you don't necessarily need to be a real estate agent or broker, right?
No.
There's still be for someone who, is just interested in real estate, probably,
Yeah,
right?
say you like systems, say you like back office technology, and maybe you're in, an area in the US where you're seeing a lot of rental properties still and you're seeing a lot of real estate turnover. Or, I mean, for us, we're so close to Tahoe, it seems like an easy way to make some money would be managing the snow properties, the people going skiing during the winter. So think about that kind of thing. Are you in an area that maybe has a lot of high traffic for vacations or long-term rentals, anything like that? And it's a great fit.
Absolutely. And I would just, to close this out, I'd say, being detail oriented, comfortable with tech platforms, because a lot of these run on apps and things like that. Be comfortable managing relationships. I think someone who's a real people person, because you're going to be dealing with landlords, you're going to be dealing with tenants, having that customer service oriented approach, I think is someone who definitely would thrive in this category.
Yep, absolutely. All right, next up we have health, wellness, and beauty. This is a big category for us. I feel like the franchise world is really honing in on this category. We've seen a lot of different placements: Forever Young, anti aging solutions, any of the loss ones, anything wellness wise is just thriving right now. I think people have so much more information than they've ever had in the past on how to stay healthier as you age. And because of that, we're seeing more and more franchises pop up.
Yeah. And I think that, we talk about investments, like what better investment than investing in ourselves? Like, I think that with our generation, I mean, obviously, generation below us is drinking less, right? Like, alcohol sales are going down. I'm not saying this has anything to do with that, but it does. It does in the sense of people are investing in themselves. And something I'm really big on is, when you're making a decision, it's like, will my future self thank me for this decision? Like, do I want to go out and do a walk after we get off this podcast? No. Will my future self thank me? Will that benefit Catherine in the future? Yes. Yes, it will. Health, wellness, beauty, plus take all the technological advancements, right? That are going on out there. Like there's just some super cool things that are coming down the line. Like Morgan and I, you just stay tuned because there are some exciting franchise concepts hitting the market in Q1 that we are really going to be pumping and we're really excited about. I think just the longevity space, there's just a lot going in there where people, the red light therapy, the blue light therapy, you have Beam, right? Beam sauna. That's a really cool concept. Glow 30, that's another one that's been really popular, I'd say, in 2025. I think we'll continue to see that for 2026. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Morgan, what are some of the other?
Some of the ones I'm really excited about are just like the natural dog food, even for the dog's wellness. I'm loving the protein smoothie concepts that are about to launch
Yes.
that I think we might be able to talk about soon. I don't know if we can on this podcast, but keep your eye out for those. I just feel like there's just so much awareness over this entire concept that people are investing more than they ever had in anti-aging treatments. Weight
Yes.
loss is huge. I mean, the US has notoriously been in trouble for having more and more people overweight than any other country in the world, and I feel like now we're really trying to figure out how to stop that. So you're seeing a lot of weight loss treatments, and that can be reoccurring too. So a lot of the things we're talking about with health and wellness isn't a one time situation. These are usually memberships, subscriptions, things where people are building loyalty, they're repeat clientele. So for those reasons, these franchises are doing really well, and a lot of people are looking at them right now.
Yeah, and I think just, with this, these are more cost intensive, concepts. So, the buy-in, the investment, the initial investment is higher than, let's say, home services, right? Because most of these are a brick and mortar. You're going to have a lease and you want it to be in an area where you have that disposable income, a more affluent clientele, because while people are investing more in health and wellness and beauty and things like weight loss and Botox and medi spas and all of that, it isn't necessarily something you need. It's more of a like to have, not a need to have. Now, that said, in the right market, it completely makes sense. And if you are someone who, I think the brick and mortar, who are passionate about that. I mean, I love that stuff. But the investment is higher to get in.
And I feel like you and I luck out because we're in California where you are gonna see those more affluent communities in certain areas, but it's also just, California, Florida, there's certain states that are just really excited about this concept already, and it might be a little slower to go to some of the other areas, but I think as a whole, the entire US is watching and everybody's excited about it, but I think you're right, Catherine, it is gonna be a higher investment standpoint. It's why it's not the number 1 that we just talked about, it's a little bit
Yeah.
lower on the list, but
Right.
only for that reason, truly. It's not really for any other reason. It's just you have to have a little bit more capital up front to invest in one of these.
Right.
Yeah.
But in the right market with the right person,
Mhm.
once you get those clients in there and you do a great job, you get the repeat customer and you have the reoccurring revenue. So it does make sense. And there's some really exciting concepts coming. So stay tuned.
All right. Next up, Catherine, we've got what? Commercial and residential services?
Yeah, let's talk about it. We saw placements and Be Organized, cleanest restaurant group. This one's really starting to pop up a lot more. Quite interesting. If you think about it, restaurants have very high standards for cleanliness. The part that matters is there are regular health inspections that restaurants have. They have very stringent guidelines. We
Yeah.
know this. And so therefore, this concept, the cleanest restaurant group, does exactly that and it meets that need. And there's not a lot of people out here doing it. Is it sexy? No. Is it needed? Yes. Is it needed a lot? Absolutely. Are there restaurants everywhere? Yeah. So definitely one to watch. Groovy Hughes, Junk Co., and even vending machines with naturals to go. That is a consistent placer month over month. So vending machines, it's a great tax write-off with the equipment. So there's just a lot of tax benefits in addition to the recurring revenue and the low maintenance and relatively no employees.
Really a catch-all category, and the thing they all have in common is it's a lot of B2B and operationally very simple. These models like Junk Co. Plus, people have seen junk removal companies over and over again, but this could be more B2B focused. It could be that simple model where you're just hiring out. These commercial and residential services are not to be overlooked by any means. And I just had a client that was looking at the cleanest restaurant group. He's been in the restaurant services for years. Great fit for him. He doesn't want to be a server anymore. I don't blame him. He's tired of being on his feet for that many hours. So what a great opportunity to still stay with the restaurant business and do more B2B, but now he can step out and hire and be cleaning the restaurants. I think that's a brilliant move for him.
I agree. I agree. It's definitely a great move. and a great category. So definitely if anything spoke to you in what we just shared, let us know. Moving on to an exciting and a fun category, niche and emerging brands.
Yes.
Talk to me about this one, Morg.
This is one of my favorite ones because I feel like this is that shiny object type of franchise, but typically we would steer away from those. That's not really the case right now. Some of these new niche brands that are emerging are really fun. Tea box, you've got decorating, designery, decorating den interiors, HB Wellness, we kind of touched on earlier. That's a big one that's coming out. Real clean, aircraft detailing. All of these are brands that you probably have never heard of, but they are up and coming or thriving now, and they all have like a reason why they're doing well, especially the golf. Golf has really exploded recently.
Yeah. So, and that's T-Box, just for those of you out there who may not know what T-Box is. So, with niche and emerging brands, the thing to think about is these are first to market concepts. So, I think of like a Dry Bar or an Uber, right? These are brands that came in and essentially, like, what's the word I'm looking for? They named this. I mean, like,
Yeah, a specialization. They come in, they specialize in something.
well, they're specialized, but it's like, think about it. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm getting an Uber, but I might be calling Lyft or a
Mhm.
taxi, but I say I'm getting an Uber or,
Sure.
just like that kind of brand awareness. Like when you can come first to market,
Yeah.
first off, you have little to no, well, no, if you're first to market, no competition. So the nice thing is you are not vying for customers. There is not that competition level next. So you are coming in, you're specialized, you're niche, like let's take real clean aircraft detailing. I love this one. FYI, this just got approved in California today. Morgan and I are both in California. I love this concept. I think it is so cool. No one else is doing it. It's essentially real clean aircraft. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's going in and cleaning a lot of these private jets and commercial airlines. So this has been very popular across the country. I have been waiting for the day that it was available in California. So, for any of you listening who are in California, please reach out to Morgan or myself because this is an interesting one and it's first to market. So, little to no competition, which is great. What else, Morgan? What else makes that a smart play?
I territory checked for myself when it comes
Did
to
you? Oh,
I
I
did
love that.
a long time ago when I first heard about it, and it was available at the time, but it wasn't they weren't registered yet in California. So that's how much we believe in this company. That's just so funny that I had to know if it was available for myself. So I do believe in that one. I also think, it's these aren't saturated markets like Catherine said. So when you think about like golf simulation is amazing. There's so many different ones emerging out there, but T-Box does something a little differently where they still have the fitness side. So anytime you can get a franchise that has a two-in-one or multiple reoccurring revenue options in one franchise, I really believe in those. So T-Box does a great job of having like the gym,
Yes.
but then the golf simulator and then also the golf pro. So you have a lot going on with that one. HB Wellness, I am so excited about. Protein is
Yeah.
everywhere. You can go to the store. My son now even knows what protein is, and he's 9. So he's paying attention to the back of wrappers. That doesn't have enough protein. Mom, it needs to have like 18 more grams of protein. Well, these shakes could have 35 grams of protein. So we're seeing things where like the sweet treats that were popular for a while. This is a great example of a specialization or something where it's not an overly saturated market. So instead of getting the sweeter smoothie that you're used to that has a lot of sugar, we're now looking at protein smoothies. So these are all kind of just unique opportunities where if you can get in now, highly recommend it. Reminds me a lot of crumble cookies, which you can't even buy
Yeah.
anymore. It's sold out. That was
Right.
kind of niche at the time.
Right, and that's what, like, a lot of these brands are is gonna happen, it is gonna sell out. I mean, we were just talking to Chloe over at T-Box, she'll be on our franchise podcast next week, and they sold 51 units last year. They just started franchising last year. When I was in franchising, a big year for us was selling 25, just to give perspective and context on that. So, that is absolutely a concept that will sell out and definitely one to look at if you, are interested in the golf enthusiast space. I love the multiple revenue streams. What I was going to say as it pertains to these emerging brands and niche brands. So niche brand specialization, yes. First to market, great. Like a lot of demand because nothing else is there. So you're going to get those people in. You do a great job. You crush. You kill it. Give the best customers experience. You're going to win them over. You're going to get it. It's going to be great. in my opinion. That's how I would think about it. But then on the other thing, just to note, is so as a person looking at franchising, when you're going through the process with these franchise brands, one of the key components is franchise validation and what we call item 19 of the FDD. So FDD is franchise disclosure document, few hundred pages, a lot of legalese, as I call it. I don't even know. But like the item 19 runs down a lot of the numbers of how the system is doing financially. And so with an emerging brand, you will not have that if it's coming first to market. So just so you know, for those of you listening, I think there's huge opportunity here, but this is definitely for someone who is less risk adverse, I would say, right? Or
Yeah,
more risk.
I completely.
No, it's like you're really pulling in like some people want a proven concept and a proven model. For an emerging brand, you're taking more risk. So you just need to be knowing that, and you're not going to be able to get franchisees validating because it's new. So that doesn't mean it's not a great concept. It just means if you're someone who is kind of adverse to risk, this may not be for you. But for someone like myself, in Morgan, Soccer Stars, when we bought Soccer Stars, it had been around a long time, but they had just started franchising. So we took the risk knowing that it may not be perfect and there would be growing pains, and that's okay. And it's been great. And that was a great move on both of our parts to take because it quickly sold out in markets across the country. Still availability, but it did scale very quickly and sell. So just want to make that note here.
Yeah, and I think Kevin was really smart to talk about the FDD really quickly. But what you can pay attention to is while you might not have all the data in that item 19, you still have the item 7. And the item 7 will tell you what your overall investment is. So if you are not risk adverse, but you want to know like what does that investment look like, that's in there. And then I think it's item 6, Kevin, I want to say is like the operating costs, like the just like the kind of like what are you out monthly? What does that look like? That all will be in there. You just might only have a corporate location to go off of and not a lot of franchisees like what Catherine's saying to validate, but you'll have enough numbers to definitely make a good decision and invest. So very exciting. A lot of new brands coming, a lot of solid categories that are reoccurring revenue that are doing really well. And I don't expect them to go anywhere in 2026. I just expect them to sell even more.
Right. And just to close out, when you look back at 2025 and, this is what we're going to see 2026, it's the ones um that sold weren't necessarily the flashiest or the ones making, the most buzz, but it's really thinking through what is the best fit for you based on your capital investment, based on your interests, your lifestyle, your risk tolerance, all of these things. This is where Morgan and I can help. We have a process that's data driven, it's honed, and it is very good using several assessments plus our own inputs. And the fact that we're franchise owners ourselves, we can really help guide you to finding that perfect fit. And so just want to say that. And what else more?
Just the assessments alone, those will help us see where you match up with the top performers who are current franchise owners. So that's kind of fun to see because sometimes you think you want a brick and mortar, but you'll take our assessment and it turns out you don't want to actually have 40 employees and late nights and working weekends. So we can help you navigate that. And if you want to invest in a franchise in 2026, I think it's an excellent time to do that. AI technology is constantly advancing. A lot of the brands we just talked about are taking full advantage of that. They're gonna help you work a lot smarter, not hard, but, those scalable systems are in place, and I think that I'm excited to see how many new franchise owners we're gonna see because I think 2026 is gonna be a bigger year than ever before.
Yeah. So just focusing on those three things, right? When you're looking at franchise models, you want essential services, it needs to have scalable systems, and you want to have the ability to create both income and impact. Just in clients I'm currently talking to right now, I think that AI, Morgan mentioned it, is really taking jobs away. Like it's going to create jobs as well, just like any disruption in the marketplace. But it's scary for a lot of people out there. Some have lost jobs, and that's who I'm talking to, and they're looking for their next thing. Some have great jobs right now, but my goodness, they're not sure their job will be there tomorrow. There's not that security. Um, that they're not feeling that secure. So, as a franchise owner myself, I will just say having the confidence, knowing my job is secure, knowing I'm in charge and control of my future, and being able to build a business that I'm proud of, that makes a community, a positive impact on the community, that provides for my family. It's been amazing. It's not without its challenges. Currently, it's into Morgan before this of a current challenge, but hey,
But
that
it's that impact plus income that we're talking about. Like, you're not
yeah.
taking your paycheck, but you're building equity, you're making a difference most likely. I mean, all of these different franchises, you're gonna make a difference, just a matter of, like, how impactful and meaningful of a difference, but you're gonna make a difference, and that's why Kath and I, like she's saying, as franchise owners, we just come from such a unique position of, like, we're still in it. Like, we didn't just do it and let like, we didn't leave, like, we're still in it every day running these businesses. We are fully aware of what we're asking everybody else to do. And the one thing I do think that we sometimes forget to touch on before we wrap up, and I want to throw it out there just so I don't forget, is as franchise consultants, when you work with Catherine or myself, or both of us if you'd like, it's no cost to you. And that's the
Yeah.
brilliance of it. It's much like a real estate agent. Like, we are here to show you these businesses and find you the right fit. So don't forget 2026. I know life's expensive, but we don't cost anything. So you could have a free conversation with us, free assessment, and let's see what the right fit is for you.
Yep, exactly. So thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you found this information valuable, please subscribe to our channel. Please share it with a friend. If you are talking to someone who just is feeling at a crossroads in their current career, we're happy to chat. And we have a really exciting lineup of podcast guests and topics coming at you in the next few weeks. So tune in next week. And thanks for listening to Best Friends in Franchising.
Thanks, everyone.
For those of you listening, if you have any questions or are interested in franchising, please go to thefranchiseinsiders.com. You can find more information about Morgan and my son. We'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
Bye.